morning, Westeros!
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle. And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners with John 8 on deck. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Never had a bad day in my life.
There we go. Good line. You stole it from me.
Kyle, what do you think of the chapter?
I mean, this is what it's all about, I think, right now, right? Like, this is the important war that's happening.
Everything up to this has been the petty squabbles.
Yes, exactly.
Of the Southern Lords.
Yeah, if only they knew, right? Like, how close things came to being so bad for them.
To be fair, they got a letter in the mail.
Yeah, I mean, Davos read it. Yeah.
I was going to say it could be worse. There's a part in the chapter where Jon gets to the wall and he's like, okay, they have torches out there at least, so it's not the others.
True.
That's kind of the ultimate battle.
Yeah, it's just Mance, right?
But yeah, that's kind of the synopsis of this one. It's just like kind of the battle from the north. We had the battle from the south in the last Jon chapter. This is kind of the battle from the north.
Did you like it, Kyle? Did you enjoy it?
I don't think it's over yet, right? Like, and I think that's kind of why I'm having a hard time getting a vibe about this, right? Like,
right.
It ends with like him just realizing that the giant's like dead, blocking the tunnel.
I guess it was just a battle,
and like I mean, there's still
Mance is still out there with a lot of people.
Yeah, like nothing has changed really, right?
Yeah, exactly. Except like the number they've lost, it looks bad from like looking at all the dead bodies and stuff, but exactly compared to how many he has, it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, this is not over.
But also the big bomb that's kind of dropped at the end there that you didn't mention is Jon's in charge now. Or appointed by Aemon. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if everybody else accepts that. But like, it seems like that's where it's headed.
Nels, what do you think? Maybe it's a hot take by me, but I thought it was pretty lame chapter.
I like it. I think like some of the imagery is cool. Like again, I like when I go through and take notes, I go through like really slow.
What imagery? It's dark. You're shooting at blindness.
The sun rises halfway through, and then it's not. They see like all the carnage,
and then they stop fighting.
No, they fight. It's like halfway. It's like half and half.
No,
it's
not.
They see all the carnage.
And they're shooting mammoths. Like, there's some cool stuff that happens. Like,
yeah, it'd be cooler if you could see it. Is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
I think the show does it better. We said this last time.
The show is
so
much
I
cooler.
think here does it better.
I didn't want to say it, but now that you
can we say why? I'm thinking about it. I think we can say why.
I guess you could. I mean, we read it. I don't think.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything like potentially spoiler related to it. I don't think so. Basically, the attacks happen at the same time in the show.
Oh, okay.
Which again, it just like, they do that a lot of times where they'll condense scenes, but I think it makes it kind of more epic here because they're. But again, I think this is where the show starts getting unrealistic. Jon is like injured, right? In the battle down below, he doesn't ever cross swords with anybody. In the show, he's like actually crossing swords because his leg injury just goes away like in between episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's running around and he's fine. In this one, he's like dying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like the book. I understand why they're different, and I understand why the show did it that way.
For sure, it makes a lot more sense, and it makes for sure like
the episode would be sucky if Jon's sitting on the shooting crossbows. You know
absolutely.
What I mean? So I see why they did it, but
even like being able to take the attacks from both ends, like
yeah, it is kind of cool. It raises the stakes for sure.
But yeah, it's just cool. It's just all right, shoot again until they're actually like shooting at the ram. Like that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
So, and it'd be cool to see what happened in the tunnel too. That'll be
that's true.
The last thing I said was you like to see those guys go out, maybe not the carnage, but like at least fall on their sword for the tunnel.
Yeah.
To say it was pretty long for a lot of, like you said, shooting into the dark, looking into the dark.
Yeah,
being
I don't
in the
think
dark.
it's that long of a record for us, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Again, normally the battles seem to not be.
Yeah, it's just kind of stuff happening.
Oh, I will say that when I looked up the timeline for this, it says it takes place like a month after the last Jon chapter. I feel like Jon's leg would be in better shape. Like, I feel like I don't know, even Baby Bo and Marsh would be back by then. Like,
he seemed pretty bad. Like, it seemed like it was still from that.
I don't trust that. I don't believe that timeline.
Yeah, I don't believe that one. I'm thinking like within a week or like maybe a week tops. You know what I'm saying? But relatively close.
I mean,
who knows?
I don't know,
maybe
if he's
not.
been doing shit on it. Maybe the wound's just not healing, and then it festered. He had a fever. Like I don't know.
Well, knowing him, he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's work to be done on the wall. It's not like he's just fucking laying in the hospital wing.
Yeah. But chapter doesn't start off with the battle. It starts off with Jon sleeping and dreaming.
A dream. Yep.
Big dreams. All right, and he is in the crypts of Winterfell, and the statues are pissed he's down there.
Yep. This isn't the first time. It's been a while. I think he used to have these dreams. There was like 2 or 3 of them that he had way early on. I think he even talks to somebody about them.
I don't recall. I remember, I think, him dreaming of the statues, right? I don't remember them kind of yelling at him like they are here.
Yeah, you are no Stark. There is no place for you here. Go away.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the same, but I think he's had ones in the crypt, down in the crypts before, is all I was really saying.
Yeah. Yep. So he's walking through, right, kind of calling out names, goes through the family. They're yelling at him for not being, you're no Stark, get out of here.
Yep.
They're gripping their swords a little bit tighter as he walks by. The wolves on there next to him, not happy. I don't know if they're growling or not.
There's a feast going on.
They're partying upstairs. He's not allowed there either.
Yep.
He does call for Ygritte at some point during this deal.
Yep. Ask for forgiveness.
He feels bad, right? Like, for sure, about her. He's definitely going through some shit over her death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She gets mentioned a few times throughout the chapter.
No one answers, and then there's a gray wolf. Wolf. There's a gray wolf with gold eyes looking at him.
Is that Rob's wolf?
That's what, again,
I
don't think there's any
I don't know
answers.
the description of all of them. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's not like we get an answer to this dream. Your guess is as good as mine, but that's I would take that as a good guess.
When Jon wakes up, he says it looked like, did he say it looked like Bran?
He just says he knew it wasn't ghosts.
Knew it wasn't ghosts.
Right?
Thought about Bran's wolf because he had just recently seen Bran's wolf.
Yeah, he did say like Bran's wolf.
Gray like Bran's wolf, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it was Bran then. I mean,
could have been Bran's wolf. I think with Kyle, again, we don't really get anything. It's not like we get answers on this stream, so this is up to interpretation. I think it's more what Kyle's saying. I'm thinking this is Jon getting like magic visions of
learning about Rob's
dying.
death.
Exactly, because I think again that's part of the feast going on. Like, weren't there like drums going on the whole time for Arya and Cat
and like, Greywind being in the crypts,
and Greywind could be the one at the end. Yeah, exactly.
We'd have to go back and see if he ever talked about the eyes. Right, that's like the one.
I just looked. Greywind has gold eyes. I think Summer has green eyes. No, Summer also has yellow eyes. So it could be either or both.
Yeah, isn't Shaggy Dog black? Maybe that's just a show.
Shaggy Dog's darker. I was thinking the same thing, but I think gray is one of those where you can be like, oh, dark gray, so much he was almost black.
So, Queen's Crown, that's the tower, right?
That's the yes.
where Bran saw him.
But how did Jon know about Bran?
Jon got saved by the wolf. He thinks Bran's dead.
Maybe killed the wolf after Queen's Crown. Got you. I follow 100%.
In a previous chapter, I think because the eagle that hates Jon has thought like, oh, maybe because I had this like weird connection with Ghost, Bran had a similar thing with his wolf, and now that Bran's dead,
now he's in the wolf.
Bran. So here he's like, I hope that wolf escaped because then Bran at least lives on a little bit. So he says something like that.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right. I think that's what he's thinking here.
I follow. Yep. Yeah, he said if the wolf's gone, then all hope for Bran is gone as well.
Yep.
Like the last piece of him is dead.
All right. So he wakes up in his own old bed now, back underneath the Maester. What's it called? Lord Commander's chambers.
Lord Commander's tower was burned down, so I think they're in King's Tower. But yeah, he was underneath Aemon's chambers. Not Aemon, Lord Commander, yeah.
Where Mormont was, yeah. And he just thinks back on burning Ygritte like she would have, missing her, and also missing Ghost, who was there with him last time, and just kind of thinking about where he's at nowadays.
Yeah. So before we get into the Ghost thing, like when I was reading this part, I was just like, when was the last time we had a Jon chapter? I mean, besides the last one, like the last one we had the battle here, but like besides that, like at Castle Black, right, where he's like taken in the castle, like being home feeling.
Before they bailed down in the library with Sam, or
Lily first, Jon Clash of Kings. So it's like this is kind of like almost like it feels good to be home.
2 books ago, like wow, I made it back here. Kind of surreal.
Yeah, like feels good to be home type of thing. Like I'm back under the Lord Commander, but then kind of like you're saying there, he describes his chambers. It's cold, like the fire's gone out, it's freezing, the bed's hard, like everything sucks about this place. So it's like, you've had it better while you're out in the wilderness.
Yeah, he misses the warmth of Ygritte.
Yeah, either with Ghost or with the Egret. You always had somebody with you before.
You know it's cold when you're going to bed in your clothes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's dressed ready to go.
Yeah, that's bad.
All you have to do is throw in the sword.
2 horns woke him up, right? And that's when he was like, oh, gotta get my injured ass up to the wall. Credit for battling through injury. Sometimes you just gotta, plow on.
Yep.
This is like the playoffs. You can't be injured in the playoffs. You gotta find a way.
Exactly. Take him in the locker room, give him a shot of something. Whatever that magic stuff they give those pro athletes is. Just give him a shot of that. So he goes out of the room. Everyone else is coming out.
They have to wait for the elevator up, right?
Yes, because they burned the stairs and they're like plot.
Yeah.
In the attack from the south.
They gotta have like a backup plan, at least like a rope ladder. I don't know. Just something.
I'm guessing you could that's what the wildlings had to climb it.
They could have worked on, if it was a month later, you would have hoped they would have worked on building new stairs, right?
Yeah. Having a chance, maybe even some slap.
If you knew Mance was coming, you might just be like, fuck it, like that's our number one focus. Like stairs is a project for after that, but who knows? I feel like it depends on how far the castles are, but you could always just send people to the nearest castles up that way, and then
that's too far.
Because the stairs work.
Could take the long steps. Yeah,
That's
you got to go to the end of the hallway to take them. The stairwell's closed.
It depends on how far it is, but yeah, you could.
You know that's too far, Nelson. Come on.
Depends on what they're doing.
Anyway, so while they're standing there, they're like, he's like, oh shit, it's Mance. This is it, right? Like, time has come, right? We knew this day was coming. Here it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to John's point of view, he's like, man, I hope it's Mance because Mance told me about fighting the others, and we don't want
that other shit.
We don't want any parts of that.
Yeah, at least I know how to kill a person.
Yeah, and there's a few times throughout the chapter where, like, others starts a sentence. Like, one of them's here. It says, others waited with him. Satin,
you care so much about the capital,
horse. Well, it's just like he uses others, like, you know what I mean? Like, it could be capital just because it's the start of a sentence, or it could be capital because it's going to be capital. Others? I mean, obviously not these guys aren't others, but it's like, are these guys all going to die at some point and then, like, show back up as others? Kind of like, who did Sam see that was before he
Big
got
Paul.
with full hands? Yeah, small
Paul.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I mean? So I just feel like I saw like a few of these throughout the chapter where others was used in a way that it wasn't meant to be others, but.
So he gets up to the top and.
Well, hold on. Before we get there, one of the people that saved his name's Horse. New guy.
Yeah, I didn't take no names in my notes.
He was from Molestown, and he just decided, like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm staying here. So.
And a crossbow lady, sniper.
Z-E-I. Z-E-I.
Could be Zay.
Zay.
Z. I like Zay.
I think she used to be a horde. Yeah, now she's just a crossbow. I don't understand like how that conversation went. Like, she doesn't seem like she'd be allowed to be here long term, but like Noi was like, fuck it, I guess if you want to stay and fight and die against this massive force, who cares?
Yeah, you need all the hands you can right now, right?
I don't think you can really discriminate. You're not in the position to discriminate.
Well, like, why would she want to say? Like, I don't know.
You cannot turn anybody away right now.
Which is why they also took 3 little orphans.
Yeah.
9, 8, and 5.
Yeah.
So
bring me the quivers.
They'll be Lord Commander one day. One of those orphans. Lifetime on the wall. Come on.
Spoiler.
What more would you rather want?
Exactly.
So my point was they are pretty well supplied up at the top. They got arrows, longbows ready. They got barrels of pitch ready to throw over. The trebuchets are ready to fire, but they just got like 9 guys and
crossbows,
19 scarecrows.
They do have the scarecrows too. Yeah, exactly. The same ones they had down below. They have those up top too. And Noi's in charge, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And they're here when they get up there. John's talking to Noi, and he's like, I hope it was one of those scarecrows that blew the horn. And then Noi's like, shh, do you hear that? And John's like, oh yeah, that's a mammoth. I've heard that before. And they're like, oh,
they're like already walking. That's like the beginning fight is just like, it's lame. Shooting at the dark, it's lame.
Dude, but imagine you're one of those guys, like, and you just hear nonsense, like, you know what I mean? You hear it all down there.
Yeah, it's like a zombie movie.
They're playing pipes and drums, and you're just like, you can't see shit, and you're just like shooting arrows into nothing.
It's lame. It's lame.
Oh, I don't know, man. It'd be scary as shit. You're crazy.
This is intense. This is definitely an intense situation to be in.
You're how high up in the sky?
700 feet. 700. Yeah.
So you're not in any immediate danger. The only way you're in danger is if they get through the tunnel. They literally chant that
this is still intense, man.
It's still intense. I don't know.
It is intense. It's not nearly as intense if you would see the mass coming at you.
Which they do eventually.
I don't know. They know it's there.
Right, and that's when it turns on. The shooting into the darkness is nothing.
Here's the thing. Have I seen Quiet Place 2? I don't know. The reason Quiet Place is cool, the movie, is because you don't know what the monster looks like. You don't know the whole point is you learn about it as the movie goes on, and then when you learn that it's afraid of sound, it's less scary.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't.
The whole point is that you don't know, it's just holy shit. There's something that you got to be quiet, and then that's it. You know what I mean? But as you learn more, it becomes less and less scary. So that's the point.
Okay.
I think of this.
I'm not gonna fight up this hill. I don't really care for them shooting into the dark.
Okay. But to Jeff's point, that is pretty much what they're doing here.
Yeah, it's for a while. They're shooting.
They shoot and shoot till John's about to pass out.
With the trebuchet, the one trebuchet shoots so much it blows in half.
Yeah, they have 2 trebuchets, a couple catapults, I guess, a couple scorpions, and archers. And they're just launching pitch and stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah. So I think they started with shooting the pitch, right? They're throwing, and
he says, "Give me light."
They see a little bit, right? They know there's some mammoths. They might see a giant. They don't see enough, and they just keep firing. There's a lot of mammoths.
Well, there's parts in there where John's he couldn't tell how many there were. Yeah, exactly. He couldn't get a good count, but he could tell there was a lot. He's at first he thought that was
he said
one
were there
mammoth.
20 or 20,000.
Yeah.
In the dark, there was no way to tell.
Yeah.
So he has no idea really, but I think he knows just from being as part of it, right? He knows there's tons of people.
He knows what they were walking with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jeff might be right for everybody else who hasn't seen Mance's army, but John, you're right, maybe he can't see it now, but he should be able to picture it, right? He's seen this thing spread out like an eagle's tailgate, just following on the move for miles. Sure. You know what I'm talking about?
But he couldn't even really picture it when it was in this array, right?
He says that here, I think. He's yeah, I'd seen it as spread out, but I never saw it.
Yeah, when they're at the trees, yep. So Pip yells that they're at the gate, and we get into the gate's their only real chance. They're not climbing the wall with enough success to actually take the wall.
Yeah. You can't break it. You can't burn it.
You can't break. Yeah, you're through this gate or not, and we know that from the past. Every other gate's basically filled in and frozen.
He also mentioned we hear a little bit more later. It's again something different from the show. Yeah, I kind of remember. It's tight. They say you can only bring a one horse through at a time. You can't two horses. I think they even have to go single file later when they're with John and Eamon and them.
And it turns I feel like the show was a straight tunnel, right? It's this isn't.
Windy. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not a straight hallway through the wall at all. It's
long.
It's booby trapped. It's long. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably why it's windy. So that if it was just straight, I mean, maybe it could be a decent distance. But yeah, if you make it windy, you can make the length more.
Well, I think it just makes it easier to defend too, because there's corners and you can't just shoot straight into it.
And they also have these 3 iron gates along the way, and each gate has murder holes. I was thinking, how do you get into these murder holes? But they say later that at some point in the chapter, they say maybe when Noi took his people in, he took people in, or when they're arguing why they should seal it or not seal it. One of the reasons to not seal it was if you seal it, then you can't send people in to go into the murder hole. So I'm guessing you're going through the tunnel and there's side passages that are just kind of spiral staircases that lead up and above the. Yeah.
Each gate has the entrance to the forward murder hole.
Yeah, behind it.
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty cool.
So they throw pitch right down on the gate below them. They can hear it hitting, and people and giants, right, are playing mammoths, stop, drop, and roll and shit. Yeah. Mammoths are running around trunking the shit.
Yeah.
That would be a lot cooler if you could see it. But Noi wanted the archers shooting, and then he grabbed 10 other men.
But before Noi goes down, I have that Septon starts singing.
Yeah, he's a little
Gentle
drunk.
Mother, Fond of Mercy. It's the same song Sansa was singing before the Blackwater. Save our sons from war, we pray. Stay the swords and stay the errors. And Noi stops. And he's anybody fucking stays their swords. I'm throwing them off this fucking wall.
You're fucking dead.
Starting with you.
I didn't realize. I guess it made sense, but I didn't realize that they had a Septon up there.
Why is there? It's a good point. Why? I mean, he's probably up there because it's all
where else
hands.
would he have gone? This is the safest place, right?
Well, it's probably all hands to deck.
I think this is just safety.
Aemon's down below. They took Aemon up to the top for safety during the battle from the south, and they didn't take him up now. So I don't think it's for safety. Because if it was, they
didn't take him up now
again. No, because when they go
He's
down,
down
Pip has
there
to go
when
to
they
get
get
the
down
spare
there.
key for him.
Okay.
Which is a different topic, but whether they have a spare key, like what?
I was just shocked that they even had a septon at the wall anyway. Like, I guess...
We've heard of him a few times before. He's a drunk. And he's drunk here. So, again, nothing super important.
Was he just a drunk septon that got sent to the wall? Or was he actually
That's a good question.
That's my question.
Probably he was a drunk septon who before he got sent.
So not to contradict you too much, Jeff, Noi only actually ends up taking 4 people down. More than 10 step forward to volunteer.
Yep.
But he only took 2 bows and 2 spears to help him hold the tunnel.
Gotcha.
So I thought it was a bunch too. So that was why I was pointing.
I knew a bunch volunteered, but
yeah.
So then Noi puts John in charge of the wall.
Yep. And he's like, "What, my lord?" He's like, "I'm no lord. I'm a blacksmith. You're in charge." And John's like, okay.
I guess I'm ready for this."
There were so many reasons it shouldn't be John: age, injury, suspicion of desertion, and John just says, "I." And then John thinks that the rest of the night was like a dream. He's leading the attack. This is kind of the part Jeff's talking about. They're just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting arrows over and over and over again.
And he's going through it. He's not feeling too hot. He's probably like fever dreaming while shooting, right?
For sure. Also, John and Noi contradict themselves. Earlier, somebody was like, "What am I supposed to shoot at?" And Noi's like, "Anything. Maybe you'll hit something." And they're like, "If not, fuck it. Like, at least you'll scare him." And then later, when they can see him, John's like, "Anyone who wastes an arrow is going to have to go back down and get it." Like, Noi's like, literally just shoot at anything. Who gives fuck?
Well,
like,
I think it changes once you see a huge ram coming at you with
that's true.
Giants carrying it. That's going to...
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, that's going to tear us up in a second."
Situation change.
Good point. Good point.
Which is kind of stupid by the wildlings. Let's just talk a little game plan. Get something over this ram and over your giants and walk that shit up in the dark. What are you waiting for the light for? For them to aim at you?
Yeah, they should have done the ram in the dark for sure.
Yeah, they could have done this a while ago. Yeah,
or just wait a night. Yeah,
Mance is an idiot.
Yeah, I mean this is kind of. I think that was even part of the point of this chapter, though, was that whole. It was 10 Northmen to 1 10 Southern men to 1 Northman, right? I think that was kind of also the same idea was said about the wildlings too. Just like, sure, there's a ton of them, but they lack a lot of discipline. They lack tact. They lack skill.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of the point of this chapter, right? Is to prove that, yeah, like they had these chariots charging out on the sides, and they get to the wall, and they're like, "Oh, what can I even do here?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like there's nothing going on here. So then they would just like turn around and go back, like stuff like that. Like I said, I think that was kind of the point of that. So Jeff, you're right, 100%. They are idiots, and I think that's why they did it this way.
Yep,
because they are.
And like kind of the other thing to remember is, like you said, it seems like we've won at this point, but this isn't done yet, right? So,
it's not over. Yeah.
So they continuously fire. One of the trebuchets breaks. Then John might pick up some arrows and start shooting. I don't know. John.
I mean, he's been shooting off and on the whole time, I think, too.
But he just goes quick reload style to the point where he the little orphan boys are just bringing him an arrow. 1 arrow at a time, too. Like, bring me a basket. What are we doing?
No, he's saying quiver. He said he keeps saying 1 arrow, then I'm going to go to sleep, then 1 more quiver, then I'm going to go to sleep, and then like when that's when we're just up on a streak. You know what I mean? Just up on a streak in Counter-Strike.
All right, 1 more.
Rocket League. The old days in PUBG. All right, 1 more.
Eyes are just burning.
Yeah, exactly.
Dawn comes.
But yeah, the next thing happened, dawn comes, and they can see what happens.
Bunch of dead guys laying around. Mammoth, giant, black.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job.
Yep.
Yeah.
For shooting into the darkness.
And then, holy shit, there's thousands of them standing under the trees taunting us.
Yeah. Ice River clans, cave dwellers, walrus men of the frozen shore, horn fits, the rest of them. All the wildling groups that John knew. And John wanted to shout that like this is not their place and for them to go back, but he knew that Tormund would just laugh at him and that Ygritte would tell him that he knew nothing. I don't know if we mentioned it. At one point, he does think back that he burned her body.
I mentioned it.
Yeah, okay. Like she thinks, like he thought she would have wanted.
Yeah, so John just starts talking about the wall, right? And how it's going to defend itself. We're good.
Yep.
They can't do shit down there to us. We got this big ass thing here.
This is where John gives like a little hoorah speech like that. That's kind of what he says right at one point. He's like, "What are they going to do to us?"
Yeah.
That's not yet, right? So it pretty much like everybody's like,
we see their line. Yeah, right.
I had no idea there'd be this many. Like this is pretty intense. But John knew, right? But he never saw him like this. and then all of a sudden they're attacking the wall. This is when they all start the line pushes forward for the first time. So Mammoth's in the middle, Giants alongside pushing. This is where they're pushing the ram.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then horsemen and archers are running, dudes with spears. Like I said, this is like the dumbest thing ever, right? Like these dudes are just running to attack the wall.
Yeah, that we know, like we just said, is like only one horse fits through. Like, what are you going to do if you get there?
Yeah.
It's like a dog chasing cars. Well, I wouldn't know what to do if I caught it. Just get rocks thrown.
God damn it.
Do I look like a plan? Do I look like I have a plan?
So John could feel the despair around him, and Satin's like, there must be 100,000. He's like, what are we going to do? This is Satin. And John's like, the wall will stop them. He heard himself say. And then he turns and he says it louder. He's like, the men needed to hear it as much as he needed to say it, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he gives this little hoorah speech about Mance wants to unman us. Does he think we're stupid? The chariots, horsemen, all those fools, kind of like what we were just saying, on foot. What are they going to do to us up here? Have you guys seen a mammoth climb a wall? And then he starts laughing. Pip and Owen start laughing. They're nothing. They're less use than our straw brothers. They can't reach us. They can't hurt us. And they don't frighten us, do they? Gren gives them the no shout. And they're down there. We're up here. And so long as we hold the gate, they cannot pass. They cannot pass. I think this is definitely a Lord of the Rings reference. Part of why I wanted to read that quote. I don't want to say any more for Jeff's sake, but they cannot pass is the book version.
You shall not pass.
Yeah, you cannot pass is the book version of that. Like that's how it is in the Lord of the Rings books. So I think this is George giving homage to the.
I've seen
book version of that. That's a classic.
I think I've seen a clip of. Is that Gandalf? Yeah, I mean it's been made fun of in like forgetting Sarah Marshall. The guy does it.
Yeah, so
that's a pretty hard one to miss.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what this one is. John said, I think he says it 2 or 3 more times later in the chapter too. So, yeah, cool. John gives a little hoorah speech. Gets the guys going, get the people going.
Now they have a target, right? The ram.
Yep, exactly.
It's pretty much what happens here.
I think this is when he's saying the hold your arrows so we can get a shot on it.
Yeah. And it's also stupid by the wildlings who are trying to shoot up this thing and they're not even getting close.
Yeah, he's like kind of like you guys were saying when you guys were saying the disorder showing, their lines breaking, they're not even a third of the way to the wall. Like it's bad. Yeah. So John launches some caltrops, which are just big rocks, right? Big
metal, I thought.
Wouldn't even know. Yeah. No
metal.
Clue.
They're like the things that like you see in the World War II movies that like the metal X's, right?
Okay.
I don't understand the benefit of
that'll slow them down.
I guess a horse can't run right through it or something.
You can't push a ram through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like if it blocks away.
What I was thinking of, like World War II, you couldn't drive your vehicles up onto.
Exactly. It's to make it difficult to get through. Yeah. Just slow you down.
Yeah.
So they're launching that out of the one good trebuchet. They're shooting everything with like catapults, scorpions, everything's going. And I think they stop it pretty quick, right? But then he starts shooting fire arrows because he doesn't want to they don't want him getting back up.
Yeah, they want to burn that shit to the ground, put that shit on fire.
Yeah, we don't want to worry about that again.
Yeah, and then I think mammoths again like just start fucking shit up too when they like get set on fire and they're injured and just running people over and the lions fall back.
Yeah, you got to think about that. Like a mammoth gets a few fire arrows in him, it's just going to be everything in its path.
Oh yeah, it's not. It doesn't matter how much you train that thing.
Becomes your best weapon.
Yeah,
for sure.
Also, somewhere in there, the wildlings start shooting back, like trying to shoot at the like.
That's what I said. It's so stupid.
But I mean, later somebody does have a leg. Does have an arrow in their leg.
They do,
right.
But like
it's fake leg. But,
if you take a shot, if you take a shot and you see that it's 200 feet before like you're even at the top of the wall, like maybe you need to run a little bit closer.
Yeah, for sure. But that seems like what they're doing. But they're just they're all testing for themselves. And I can.
This is bad. It's bad. Disorder, chaos from them.
Yeah. So I think they stop. At some point, like, all right, we kind of push him back right now. John's leg's hurting really bad. Pip helps him to the cage. He wants to go down and see the tunnel, and he puts Green's in charge of the wall. Nelson?
Gren.
Oh, autocorrect. Fucking Apple.
I think you just said Gren and Pip, too. That's the best part.
I said Pip. I didn't say Gren, but Gran, fucking green, fucking. He is green. Green Gran.
Yeah, somebody in there, Satin's in there. Is Satin's like pumped because he got the fucking giant at some point, right?
I don't know if Satin. At one point, Satin says, "I got one." I don't know if he was somebody.
Mammoth at the gate.
That's Satin. That's screaming.
Got him. He could hear the roar of fire. A flaming giant lurched into view, stumbling and rolling on the ground.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be too hard to try and give out frag counts for this, at least the top part of the wall. I figured I would give some to give Noi and Mad the Mighty their due, but I wasn't going to give anybody else frags because it was just...
That's on you. I'm going to let you count those after the chapter because I don't... Yeah.
Yeah, I don't... That's not in my job description. So, John heads down.
Yep, he gives Gren the wall.
Not
Pip
Green.
and Gren are both surprised by that. They're like, what? Gren? Like,
what? Me? Who?
He's like, yes, you.
The other Gren? Did you actually mean green? Did you want green to take?
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what Pip's
What
saying.
do we do if the wildlings attack?
Stop them. Stop them like we did just now. On the way down, Pip's joking. John doesn't seem to be in a joking mood. Pip's like, we won, right? And John's like, well, let me see the gate, then I'll tell you. And he's thinking about all he wants to go do is go to sleep, get some food, get the ibuprofen in him, but he has to go check out the gate first.
I mean, it's pretty important in there.
So they talk about they had this like discussion, like should they have just left all the debris, right? Because when the Then's attacked from the south, they put all this debris in front of the gate because that was like the most important, the gate and the stairs.
Yeah, this is what Jeff was talking about earlier, or somebody was talking about earlier, that they wanted to be able to access the holes to defend the gates inside.
Yeah, Nelson mentioned that.
Yeah, because otherwise, like I think the idea and the other argument is, okay, if they catch the outer gate, who cares? We can now just defend this inner gate, and it has debris, so it's even harder to open.
Yeah,
right. But probably a bad idea. It depends. Again, I need to see like some actual I need to see a picture of the giant crawling through this hole. You know what I mean? Like, how hard is it a giant to crawl through this tunnel?
Yeah, that's a good point. And they sent Mag the Mighty, the king of them. So you would assume he'd probably the biggest. But what they should have had in this magic wall that's huge is them just be able to like pull a chain. And I'm not, obviously this is very far-fetched, but in a world with this big of a nice wall, nothing's far-fetched.
You're talking Minecraft Redstone. I'm sensing it.
Pull something that the literal wall just falls down and does the job for you.
Yeah, you could do that. You could probably actually do that where at least it collapses, and then at the very least you could like go over and atop like the collapse bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever.
Like make like a really tall ceiling and just kind of have like a part that could collapse and just like collapse it.
Yeah.
I mean, or even just like a big gate that you could release inside that would be impossible to get back up, kind of thing.
I mean, they have 3 gates.
I know, but like a big, massive one that was not meant to be re-raised.
Yeah, basically need a way to take your tunnel and just like slide it horizontally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, just move the tunnel like
I know
100 yards
so it
that
doesn't
way,
connect
and then 100
anymore.
yards that way, and then 100 yards that way.
Yeah,
and just like the army's just chasing it on the outside.
I could redstone that up if you gave me enough time to fool around with it.
All right, so they go down. They need the spare key. So again, I'm kind of curious like how the key system works for this gate, but I'm guessing Noi has the first key.
I mean, Noi had one. Eamon has.
They
the
only
second.
have 2. No, I guess only having 2 is not a bad issue because then you just go get the blacksmith who just breaks the chains and you're in that way. But yeah, but I guess if Noi's inside. But okay, so they go in.
I mean, I don't think Noi was like the holder of the key until he became in charge.
I know.
Like, I don't think it was just like the blacksmith has that key.
I know.
Okay.
I got you.
Anyway.
But yeah, so Eamon comes down with the key. John was surprised by it. He's like, why is Eamon coming? But Eamon comes. He's like, come with me. Eamon tells him now to come with him later because obviously the chapter cuts for us in the middle of the conversation. So he tells him now, come up with me later. We'll get you cleaned up and we'll get you some dream wine, get you put to bed pretty much. John's like, cool. And they start going in. Go in the tunnel.
Yep.
John says it's like walking down the gullet of an ice dragon. Kind of cool.
Good imagery.
And basically, once they get past the 2 gates,
there's blood on the floor.
Yeah, they see all the destruction.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
They got fucked up.
This is not good. There shouldn't be anybody in here, right? Like, that's pretty much where he's thinking.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone should be on that side of the wall.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any carnage here.
But that's not the case.
So John looks at the evidence. He can tell that there was a giant that had busted through, was crawling. Again, John says crawling through. So again, I'm guessing that's like size of the tunnel. He got shot a bunch by arrows, had twisted one of the spearmen's head off. One of them actually isn't a complete red shirt because it says his name is Spotted Pate of Maiden's Pool. His head got twisted off. Then he just ripped the chains open on the gate, crawled through. The other spearman is also dead. Noi was the last, crushed in the giant's arms, having stabbed it in the neck. And Jon knows it. Mag the Mighty, the king of the giants.
But who died first?
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. But
they're both dead. It's hard to tell. You can't tell. You would need to be there.
It would be cool if we were there, but
I don't know who died first. That's what he said.
And Jon thinks about the song "The Last of the Giants" and gets a little sad.
For Mag the Mighty.
For Mag the Mighty. Yeah.
Is he a wildling or a brother?
Exactly. Come on, Jon. Get your head on right.
Get your head in the game.
I mean, it is kind of sad to the end of something, right? Like, especially something as crazy as a giant. Nobody down here even believes they exist, really.
He should have shot at them all in the dark.
He should have been born on the right side of the wall, stupid giant.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's his fault. Yep.
So Jon's like, fuck it. This is disgusting. I hate this. He needs the sun. So he goes to step outside, and he steps outside into horror. After he gets his
So he steps around the giant, right? Like, is that what happened here?
Probably like over his quad or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the tunnel isn't that skinny here.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. Maybe he walks on his body. But yeah, the scene he sees outside is the huge carcass of a dead mammoth partially blocks the way. One of the beast's tusks snagged his cloak and tore it as he edged past. 3 more giants lay outside, half buried beneath stone and slush and hard and pitched. He could see where the fire had melted the wall, where great sheets of ice had come sloughing off in the heat to shatter on the blackened ground. And I guess we got the sight of all the carcasses and stuff up top earlier at when the sun came up, right? So that's the close proximity to the wall where ice is literally falling, which again kind of goes to the wall defends itself thing that Jon was saying earlier.
For sure, yeah.
So they get inside. Jon basically is in like, okay, here's what we need to do. We got to get Sir Witten Stout. He's the old knight. He's like he's still a knight at least, though. He's in command. He needs to do this. He needs to do this. And then Aemon drops the news on him.
Tell him what you will,
said Maester Aemon gently.
He will smile, nod, and forget. 30 years ago, Sir Witten Stout came within a dozen votes of being Lord Commander. He would have made a fine one. 10 years ago, he would have still been capable. No longer. You know that as well as Donald did, Jon.
It was true.
You give the order then,
Jon told the maester.
You have been on the wall your whole life. Your men will follow you. We have to close the gate.
I am a maester chained and sworn. My order serves, Jon. We give counsel, not commands.
Someone must.
You must lead.
No.
Yes, Jon. It need not be for long, only until such time as the garrison returns. Donald chose you, and Corn Halfhand before him. Lord Commander Mormont made you his steward. You are a son of Winterfell, a nephew of Benjen Stark. It must be you or no one. The wall is yours, Jon Snow.
Dun dun dun.
Brum, brum, brum.
Jon's in charge, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
it's Brucey's time to shine.
Seemed like a logical place to go, right? Like, it was, the writing's been on the wall for a while. We've talked about it.
It's him, Grant, or Pip. There ain't many choices.
It seems like an interim position, and the other thing is, it's kind of like when a president comes in and like the world's in like a horrible situation, and it's just like,
he's fucked.
You just taking over. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's like, not when you want
just
to
make sure things don't get worse. yeah, exactly. For sure. It's not ideal conditions. People aren't gonna love you.
He's just the best man for the job, so got to be done.
Yeah. I mean, I also think like you said, it's not a permanent position, but at the same time, like I think if he defends the wall here, it's gonna be right. Like, how do you take away? Like, who's more qualified at that point?
I mean, there's other people in other castles. I would say the two. Like my first.
Yeah, but how many of them have defended the wall against millions of wildlings before? Who's better qualified?
Alistair is somewhere. Right, he didn't go on the Great Ranging. Alistair Thorne is somewhere. He would be better qualified than Jon. On paper,
you think
other people...
after this fight, he would be better qualified than Jon?
Sam's highborn. Where's Sam?
I don't think he'd be better qualified. Obviously, I like Jon. I'm just saying who would win a vote. I think Alistair would win a vote.
Okay.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
I think you win this epic battle. I think you're in charge.
I think there's other people too, like even Bowen Marsh.
But
even Bowen Marsh. Bowen Marsh isn't here.
Hold on. John even said it himself. He is like not even like fully cleared of being a wildling.
I know. Age, injury, and suspicion of desertion are reasons why not for John.
Yeah.
You also have Bowen Marsh, Arthur Yarwood, people like that. The reason we only have cripples and green boys here is because Bowen sent everyone to all these different attacks Mance was placing along the wall, right? So Bowen sent, not that they had a ton of people, but he sent their most able-bodied people away. So the people that they have now are the worst of the worst. We kind of covered that a little bit more in the last chapter, but I think there are other candidates. I think John's a good one, but I think there are other candidates that would probably win in a vote.
So, I mean, as for this, I think at some point, I think John and Mance are gonna have another meeting.
Parlay.
I think some sort of. I think like something's gonna happen, right? Like we know there's this other army out there, essentially of the undead. So I think they're gonna catch up, and at the very least, it's gonna be an external force that I think impacts this fight. I don't know who it is right now. It could be
gotcha.
Benjen. We haven't seen him. Like I don't.
Gotcha. You're saying like others show up and we team up.
Yeah.
Benjen shows up and everyone teams up against Benjen.
No. What I'm saying is like so. I mean, either Benjen shows up and like helps against the wildlings, right? Gotcha. And then that helps break it up, or the others show up and then they have to kind of team up against them. You know, like so. We'll see.
Gotcha.
So yeah. All right.
Good predictions. We'll see. One other thing. Did you see the next chapter?
It's Arya.
She's alive.
What?
I forget. Oh yeah, that's right. She got hit by the mountain at the end of her last one, or not the mountain.
Yeah, she got hit in the head with an axe. Yeah,
the hound.
Yeah, by the hound, with an axe by the hound.
So
yeah. She's alive.
True.
What?
That's true. I forgot about that. Good point. Cool. Looking forward to that one.
We'll see what happens in that one. We'll see Kyle in the next one for Arya 12. We'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section. Bye bye.
All right. Bye, Kyle.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle. See you on the next one.
Kyle. See you on the next one for Arya 11.
12. Now, on a spoiler section for John 8. Jeff, what we got? Hit me with something. So I don't got much.
Dawn comes on John. What do you mean?
Dawn does come on John.
Pip it shined on Pip first. He's the princess promised.
And I don't know if it's not like exactly at that time, but John is given command by Noi pretty much right as dawn comes. Noi pretty much is in command when it's dark out. John's in command when it's light out. That's kind of the switch that happens. So
he's the princess promised.
I mean, John is in command for a little bit before it becomes dawn, but it could be like a symbolism that John becomes in charge right a little bit before he gets dawn, and then they win the battle. So
let's just talk on Kyle's prediction before I forget about it. He's kind of right. Like Mance and John have to meet up, right? Because that's John. But John's intent is to go kill Mance one-on-one.
Yep, I think that's at least how it is in the show. I think it's the same in the books. And then he also had the prediction that a third party will come into play. He didn't say Stannis. He was thinking more others. That's kind of what happens.
He didn't. He probably didn't pull in. Did he think about? He was giving Stannis credit for like turning his sights north, right? With
we
the
don't
letter.
Know. At the end of the last chapter, he's about to kill Davos, and Davos is like, "Wait, look at this letter," and that's literally the end of the scene. So we don't see Stannis' reaction.
But I thought Kyle put two and two together that like, oh, I think Stannis is going to go help the wall now versus the others.
I think he was saying Stannis is gonna do something about it, but like I think he was more inclined on the whole like Shireen or Selyse is gonna die soon because first things first, we need stone dragons.
Yeah. But, all right. One other thing on Kyle is he isn't predicting that John isn't from the dream, that he's not a Stark.
Yeah. I don't think Kyle's on that at all, which is weird because, again, Kyle technically did see season 8, which is where they kind of reveal that, and it's in the crypts and everything. So, but he's never mentioned that to us. So maybe he never knew. It's one of the things when you're watching a show, you like can kind of understand like oh, I know who Tyrion is, or he knows who Jon Snow is, or whatever. But you don't really understand like when they're having like, oh, this was your mother. Like you're like, okay, who the fuck was that? You know what I mean? You don't piece it together 4 years later on a random podcast. So I think there's probably a pretty good chance.
Time is definitely on our side there.
Yeah, but the dream, is kind of a good point. Like I think it's kind of I had a page that I was going to go through of some of the other times Jon's dreamed of the Winterfell thing, but I had to restart my computer, so it went away. But we can talk about that in a different one.
It's easy, like, all right, you're not a Stark. Okay, you're a Stark. You're not a Stark because you're a Snow, but, like, if Lyanna's mom, like, he's still kind of Stark, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. But like, it's weird, like, Stark lords are only supposed to be the ones buried down there, but then there's other exceptions besides just Lyanna and of people who weren't lords that are down there, so...
And Jon's confusing. Not dead yet, so it's not like he needs to be buried.
That's true. The other thing is Targaryens burn their dead, so maybe that's why he doesn't belong down there, because if he is a Targaryen, he should be burned, so... Which he mentions he did to Ygritte. The only other thing is, at the very end, he talks about... Or he gets... Basically, Aemon tells him, you're in charge. That is a plot at the end of this book. Like, pretty much after this battle, they have the plot...
Do we have the vote? We have the vote at the end of this book? Yeah, so they have the thing.
Stannis will show up. They'll come in. We'll have a few chapters with maybe Davos or Jon. I'm not sure if we get any more Davos chapters. Just if we get a few more Jon chapters or Sam while Stannis is around. And they're basically doing the who's going to be Lord Commander. Janos Slynt shows up. I think Alistair is with him. They basically are Team Janos. There is a Bowen Marsh and Othel Yarwick team, I think.
Wait, it's Janos, not Alistair?
I think so. I think is how that goes. And then the two main contenders are Dennis Mallister and Cotter Pike, who are the Lord Commanders of...
Eastwatch and Shadow Tower.
Exactly, yeah. Which I was going to say to Kyle, too. Like,
take me to Game of Thrones trivia. I'd be fucking boop, 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 boop.
There you go. Well, I was going to say that to Kyle, too, but I didn't want to tell it. Like, when he was like, who's better suited? I was going to be like, there are two other commanders that are commanding towers.
Let him wonder.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's all I had. I don't think there's much besides, like, the election of Jon Snow, which we'll get into in future chapters.
Where's Ghost?
I mean, he comes back in a couple chapters, so.
All right.
Does he come back in this book, or maybe that's early dance? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Does he wait? Does he wait for Stannis to...
No, it is. That's this book, because Stannis offers him to be Lord of Winterfell, I think. And he basically says no before he tells Stannis no before he becomes Lord Commander. Because it's not like he chooses between Lord of Winterfell and Lord Commander. He's choosing between Lord of Winterfell and Janos is probably going to be Lord Commander and kill me. And he still chooses to not leave the Night's Watch, right? So it makes it more honorable. But yeah, so that's what we have to look forward to in the Jon story.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have anything super specific for this chapter, so we don't have to dilly-dally. We'll see everybody else in the next one for Arya 12, which is a good one. It's when Nymeria pulls Kat's body out the river.
Are they They're dreaming about that. Is that the end of it?
Yeah, I think that's at the very end. I think the chapter's bookended with Nymeria dreams.
All right.
And we'll see you guys in that one.
Bye.
Adios.